Welcome back, everyone, to your top 10 sales on the reserve list, October 28th to November 3rd of 2023. Weakness in the reserve list? This is like Christmas time already. Honestly, to me, the reserve list has never looked more appealing than when nobody else believes in what you believe. Welcome back, everyone. MTG Moxman here, and thanks again for hanging out with me on the channel today as we get ready to discuss, yes, the weekly top 10 reserve list sellers, but the reserve list as a whole. When we take a look at what's been happening on the reserve list since the 30th anniversary, it has been abandoned ship. There's been so many players leaving the market space that it is leaving vulnerabilities that I never thought would exist in this type of market space that is the reserve list. I'm not talking just about low-end cards that no players really care about except for a few niche collectors that want to get as many as they can like myself. I'm talking about mid-range to high-end reserve list cards. And yes, mostly people focus on dual lands because they can be played in Commander. Sure, it's nice to get a Time Twister if you can get your hands on one. Why not get yourself a Mox Diamond? Wheel of Fortune? There's lots of cards. But there are just so many cards that nobody cares about. You can't use a Time Walk in Commander, so why should you bother buying one? You can't use the Moxen, so why is that even a consideration for a player trying to get them? Now let me flip the coin on you. Let's take it over to the tails side. What happens if it does recover? What happens if it does flip over? Sure, right now everything's falling. I'm glad it's falling. Let it keep collapsing. If you guys watched my video on the dark and you saw the countless thousands of dark cards that I've been buying at bottom basement prices that I never thought would exist, because nobody cares right now. And when nobody cares and no one believes, just like in the real stock market, that's usually the time you're supposed to be buying. But there is the what if chance that nothing comes around. But we're on the other side of the coin. So what happens if it does? Yes, the cards could go to zero on that other flip side coin, and you lose everything that you believed in, except for the cardboard. You get to play with the cards, you get to own classic pieces of Magic history and old cards in general. I don't care if you're an ABU, Four Horsemen, you love the Arabian Nights the most, you love the Dark the most, maybe you like revised cards, wherever you are in the spectrum. If this market recovers, if it does come back around 2-3 years from now, a year from now, if some monumental event happens and people come back into this market space and start buying up these cards, would you rather be in a weaker position or a stronger position? Would you rather have one Brain Geyser or 6? Would you rather have one Thor Champion or 10? Would you rather have one Fork or 5? Either way, if you just need one for a Commander deck, buy it while it's cheap, right? If you're hoping to speculate and make money later on and there's the potential upside, go ahead, buy 6. As long as it's disposable income and you love the cards anyway, who cares? You're not hurting anybody. But there are so many negative voices out there helping us keep the prices low, helping everything be suppressed and pushed down to the very bottom. It's like Christmas time. Everyone's hunting out there and everyone's trying to find the perfect gift, but nobody believes anymore. Nobody believes. So when nobody believes, and I'm happy you don't, by the way. If you're one of the negative fans out there of the channel, I'm glad you don't believe. Go be Mr. Grinch and don't buy anything. Because the Moxman, I stay true to my plan. I don't care. It's disposable income. It's some money I can afford to lose buying a hobby that I love. And if I make money later on, if it does come back around, which I think it will, then I'm happy for it. I'm glad to be here. I am glad that I'm positioning myself to be a recipient of possible windfalls of cash down the road, or be able to give my patrons better prizes, better monetary value if these cards flip a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, whenever. Because I'm going to be here watching it, and if it turns around, we are going to do a laugh track video where I just sit there treating myself to food I shouldn't eat and laughing all the ways we flip through binders of love of cards that people said would never recover. That's what those negative Nellies out there want you to believe, and they could be right. They really could. I'm not going to say they're not correct because I don't have a crystal ball. I have no clue. I have no idea. But I believe. And when you believe, it's a whole different story. because even when everyone's telling you you're wrong, it could lead to something else. You have to look at the market space you're playing in, the collectible world. Is Magic really dying, like you're hearing the minority of people say? There's a small people out there, very vocal, making the most noise, putting those comments down, saying it's all ending, it's all going to go over. But if that was the case, how come the standard sales are climbing? How come all these standard construction decks are still going on? Why are people still talking about Lord of the Rings and all these upcoming sets? Why is there such enthusiasm for Magic the Gathering products? How come when Wizards raises the prices, the silent majority of people are still buying? It goes back and forth, and there are negative periods where you can't help but look back on the market space and say, yep, things are going bad right now and everything's going downhill. But there are the other moments where people are saying it's going downhill, but it's not. But it's not. And when you look at the market space of Magic and its 30-year history, it has had valleys, it has had hills, it has gone up and down. And right now, with the overall economy the way it is, when you look at Canadian bank stocks, and I look particularly at banks, when they're cut in half, when the prices are half of what they were a year ago, do you stop buying them because of that? Or do you buy more, knowing the asset class you're buying will recover later on? I leave that option up to all of you, but that's how I view my Magic collection. If it goes to zero, I don't care because I get to enjoy the cards. And if it goes up, great. I would probably sell a few of the extra ones I get or give them away as prizes. Either way, I win. I win either way, and that's how a lot of reserve list collectors feel. They don't feel the need to stick up for themselves and justify what they're buying to anyone else. They're buying it because they love it, and they don't care what the negative Nellies say. They may nod their head, oh yeah, it's worthless, and then they just go buy more. Either way, it is fascinating to be here. I love being here with you guys on the channel. We are going to start out this top 10. We are going down the yellow brick road, and we are going to check out some amazing pieces of reserve list that you probably didn't even know were selling, but you can't hide these sales from me. I find everything eventually. Let's get this party started. Sliding into the number 10 position this week is Underground Sea from Revised. Now this card has an average price of $695.95, a market price of $687.55, €486.08 to get this card into your house, and it's around $900 here in Canada. But when you look at the dates and you see October 28th to November 4th of 2023 and the total sales, even though it's only 31 sales, that total value is still $21,390 US if all the cards considered are near mint. And I'll be honest, they're not. There was heavily played, moderately played, even a few damaged copies changing hands, but this is still a massive amount of money being spent on reserve list cards, including dual lands. Let's go ahead and take a look at our number 9 card this week. And yes, Fastbond somehow has made itself available to everyone and back on the list with 35 sales this week, an average price tag of $26.95. The market price is $24.80. €15.13 to get this card into your house, but those 35 sales still translated into over $910 in value. Now, what is not being reflected here on the sales, just so everyone is aware, there were some alphas and some betas as well as a few unlimited that also sold. If I included those values, we'd be around the $5,000 mark, but since I'm only counting the most sales from a particular status set, in this case it's going to be revised with the most sales, it's still a lot of fast bonds, still changing hands under that guise that it possibly could get unbanned at some point, but it's something to keep our eyes on. Now, the number 7 card this week is a very interesting entry, and this is Time Spiral. Okay, guys, I haven't seen this card here in a very long time. 37 sales this week, an average price of $113.50. The market price is $116.98, €78.07, and of course, if you're buying it here in Canada, it's around $150 Canadian. But those 37 sales represent over $4,181. The interesting thing I want to add into this particular sales volume is some of the cards selling were BGS 9.5s, BGS 9s, and some PSA 9s and 10s. These traded hands privately through a Facebook group. I was sent the receipts and sales. Guys, pretty interesting. If I included those in, we'd be around the $7,000 mark. So for this supposed amount of players not buying anything and nobody cares about the reserve list, why are the sales so stunningly high in so many areas? This card, of course, is played in Commander. It goes along with many variable decks, but it's just interesting to see that the sales volumes are higher, even in unusual cards like Time Spiral. Let's go ahead and take a look at our next card, and this, of course, is Savannah, another dual land, coming in this week to our number 7 position with 39 sales this week, an average price tag of $302.30. The market price is $311.35. €211.23 to get that card. Here in Canada, it's around $500 Canadian for a near mint copy. But those 39 sales still represent $11,778 US. Again, that's if they were all near mint. In this case, many of them were, but there was also some lightly played, as well as moderately, heavily played, and of course a couple of damage. And unusually, I'm just saying this as an off note for you guys out there who really care about this stuff. A playset of betas also sold, and 2 alpha editions sold for really high amounts of money. But it's good to know that the collectors are still here getting involved. But most of these types of sales have moved on to private Facebook groups. They're not showing up in subreddits. Nobody's commenting it on anymore. Everyone thinks the reserve list is going away, but really what it did, it looks like it's just gone underground with the people who care about it, and they really don't care what other people think anymore. More and more, I'm seeing more of this type of style of sale happening, so keep an eye on it, guys. It's kind of important to note. And of course, let's go ahead and take a look at our number 6 card. And here we have Season of the Witch from the Dark, a 3 black casting cost enchantment that says, at the end of each player's turn, all of his or her untapped creatures they could have attacked but did not do so are destroyed. If you do not pay 2 life during your upkeep, Season of the Witch is destroyed, and effects that prevent or redirect this damage cannot be used to counter this loss of life. It still had 40 sales this week. It's been as high as $90, and right now this total value of sales for that 40 sales is $1,120 US. Guys, super cheap card that's been as high as $90. If you have a way of stopping creatures from attacking, you're going to destroy all these creatures outright. It is an amazing card to have around in a deck. I do recommend picking up a copy. I mean, look at that. It's like 80s Halloween movie theme stuff. You can just picture it happening. Now our number 5 card is from the Dark as well, and that is Cleansing with 41 sales this week, an average price of $9.99. The market price is $10.08, €10.88 to get that card. Here in Canada, it's around $20 Canadian, 41 sales this week, or a total value of $410 sold. And this card is totally brutal, depending on how you play it. It is a 3 white sorcery that says all land is destroyed. Players may prevent cleansing from destroying specific lands by paying 1 life for each land they wish to protect. Effects that prevent or redirect damage cannot be used to counter this loss of life. It said all land. That's everybody. This thing in Commander is a devastating card, and if you build around things that destroy, this is the card you're looking for. Now, when we're taking a look at our number 4 card this week, this one hasn't been on the list for a while. This is from Fallen Empires, and this is Rainbow Veil. This, of course, taps for any color mana, but at the end of your turn, you've got to pass the veil over to the next person. 43 sales this week, an average price of $6.90. The market price is $7.22. €5.59 to get that card. And here in Canada, you're paying around $10 if you can find a near mint copy. The total value of the sales, only $296 to get 43 copies. Now, I'm not sure who needs 43 copies if you're one of those people who likes to hoard these cards, but at least a playset is something I recommend. It's highly usable in Commander. I've used this numerous times in a few decks now, but I recycle the card. I'm either unsummoning it, destroying it, bringing it back, using things like Renin 6, and of course I'm always getting the mana supply I need. I mix it in with Crucible of Worlds as well. This is a card to pay attention to because it can have drawbacks if you don't use it properly, or you're not building into your deck to utilize this card's unique potential of giving you any type of mana. Now let's go ahead. We've got down here now to our top 3 cards, guys. Here is the number 3 card, and it might be a surprise to you. This is Wheel of Fortune Revised Edition. 45 sales this week. The average price is $277.99. The market price is $268.42, €168.45, around $350 here in Canada, but heavily played is around $250, sometimes less. But that total value equals out to $12,500 US in sales for this particular card, which of course dwarfs most cards we see on the entire list of the top 10 for modern cards. When we're talking old school cards that have utility purpose, these are cards you want to own and play with, this is one of them. Dual lands, Wheel of Fortune, these are cards that fit into a lot of decks and you can utilize a lot of use out of them. These are things that decks can be built around. These are cards like the Doctor Who card, the River Song, that you can flip these in, add Soul Devi Digger, recycle Wheel of Fortune each and every turn. This is a dreamscape. These are cards that aren't created anymore. They're unique pieces of iconic Magic history, and there's a reason why the value is so strong. If you don't own one, I'd wait for the price to fall a little bit further. I think we've got some ways to go before it bottoms out, but it's still at a pretty good price for people who can afford their pocketbook. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the number 2 card, and that is Brain Geyser, jumping in again from Revised. 59 sales this week, and this thing was as high as $90 at one point for a near mint BGS copy, and now you find it as low as $15, okay? The average price is only $14.61, €14.34 here in Toronto. You can find this card for around $20 Canadian. Of course, it is 2 blue plus X. Target player must draw X cards. Not optional, must draw. And of course, when we used to have fork and twin cast and all kinds of craziness, we make multiple people draw multiple cards and just deck people out by drawing. It just makes you feel so good. It gives you the warm and fuzzy feeling that the game is over. Wheel of Fortune, this card, and many others like it are just crazy kind of staple cards you want to own, and with the prices the way they are, I can see why players are utilizing it, because nobody cares. And when nobody cares and nobody thinks about it, and you play a card like this, like, what card is that? That stun factor from new players who just have never seen these cards or experienced them, crazy. But now, the number 1 card. You've waited, guys. This is Thor Champion. 193 sales. Took the number 1 spot. This is obviously somebody just having some fun, having a lark, and it only cost them $597 US to do it. And that's if they only bought near mint. You could find this guy on TCG Player for as low as $1.10, okay? Now, the funny thing is, a card like this can be utilized quite effectively because it allows thralls to take control of things. You can like tap them to take control of thralls, shapeshifters, changelings. They're all considered thralls because they're every creature type, or using clones and all kinds of crazy stuff to recreate him to take away multiple creatures. Vesuvian Doppelganger, body. There's a lot going on with a card like this when it's built into a fun, constructive deck that you can just kind of blast away. No, it's not going to be that competitive, but you can have some fun. But somebody just wanted to buy copies. It's very obvious they just wanted to have a blast with this card. I can appreciate that. And of course, it took the number 1 slot. I do buy this card each and every month, and of course it only cost me, used to be as high as what, like 10 or 12 bucks a card, and now I can get like 4 copies each month for like $6. It's totally crazy. I love the way this MTG finance stuff works in my favor when I really need it to. When you're like low on funds, I can still buy reserve list. Guys, thanks a lot for hanging out. This was your top 10. These were the hottest selling cards this week. These are the weekly winners on the reserve list, and as you can see, it doesn't take a lot to get to the top 10. But if you want to see true value, you can see that some of these cards sell thousands of dollars of copies, but it's only like 20, 30 copies sold. Crazy stuff. Thanks a lot, guys. We're going to wrap things up at the end part here. Stay tuned. Market weakness breeds market negativity. That can play to the advantage of people who have been through these markets before, like housing market booms, like you go with market deficit, where you go, okay, all the prices are going down, nobody's buying, people are panicking, they're selling, and there's always somebody there picking up the burned, charred remains of people's collections. There is no way the market is dying with the amount of sales we're seeing happening in private groups. People consolidating, people building new collections when they didn't have one at all, when they said, hey, the prices are so cheap, I can buy a dual land now. This is nuts. I haven't seen collector edition cards this cheap in a decade. This is great for the players who've always wanted to get their cards. Enjoy the penny stocks like the Thor Champions. Enjoy the high-end moderate cards like your dual lands. And yeah, if you can get your hands on a piece of power, if you can go get some expensive card, I can understand where you're coming from and where you think the values could go. Let the negative people be negative. Let them. It's their prerogative. But don't let that change your outlook on how you view things. I don't let it work for me. I decide what I'm going to do each and every day, and I suggest you do the same. Thanks a lot for hanging out here on the channel with me, MTG Moxman. Thanks for being a supporter. Thanks for making it this far. We'll put a boomstick in the comments section. That way I know you made it this far. We're, what, 20 minutes in now? It's crazy. I'll see you guys tomorrow for another video. Have an awesome day. And yeah, this one here says, son of a nutcracker. It's a new shirt Mini Mox picked out. I liked it. All right, guys. Have a great one, man. Well, here we are. We made it to the credits, and this is a huge thank you and shout out to the amazing patrons, YouTube membership members. Because of them, because of their dedication to this channel, daily uploaded content happens. Thanks again, everyone. You made it back. We're here at the Ramble Jamble. We're having some superhero coffee in the shambles that is Marvel nowadays. Hoping for the days where we get the Hulk back to where he should be, where characters get more serious, a little more gritty, a little more dark, but still with the lighthearted comedy that, Robert Downey brought to the stage. Guys, Magic to me, it's going to be here till the day I go down, man. It is too awesome to be able to get some of these cards. You remember, okay, this one's going to go on for a little bit, I'm sorry. When you take a look at how when Rudy came around, the prices started to jack up, right? That's when everyone really started to notice how rare, how valuable some of these cards are. Market reacted, crazy stuff happened. We all know how it went down, okay? But now the prices are coming back down. They're becoming more affordable and becoming more affordable and they're becoming more affordable. As they drop and people buy on the falling edge knife, okay? I've never been happier. I get to enjoy talking to people on YouTube. I'm lucky enough to have a fan base that tunes in every day, leaves comments, gives thumbs up, which encourages me to keep making videos. So I have fun doing it. And we get to talk about Magic, which of course Mrs. Mox isn't that keen on. And you get to do it every single day. And I get to buy cards and we get to flex and talk to each other about Magic. It's amazing. I don't care if these videos make $1 or $2. It doesn't matter. We get to talk about Magic. And right now, the market being the way it is amazing. All right, guys, that's it. Live stream, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. I'll see you guys there. I'm going to finish the coffee. I have to go sweep the driveway. All kinds of pine needles are falling. It makes it really hard to shovel in the winter. I got to keep that thing clear. I'll see you guys later. Have an awesome day. Yeah, pizza.